everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to get started with our webinar on Mobilegeddon, Survival Kit for the Higher Education. I'm Becky Vardaman, Vice President of Strategy here at Converged, and with me today is Robin Anderson, our Vice President.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
So we've heard a lot over the last couple of weeks and months even from clients who are really concerned about this Mobilegeddon thing. Today we wanted to take a quick half hour over your lunch break to really talk about kind of the high points of the things you really need to know about how big of a deal is this. So really we're going to spend this half hour really into the very most important things for you to know. A couple of technical things. We are recording this, so please know that you don't have to take a lot of notes. We'll be sending it out afterwards, and please do share it with other people that might need to know this information. And we tried to leave a little bit of time for questions. We'll hang out a little bit longer than the half hour if we need to. So please plug those questions into the GoToWebinar tool, and we'll take a look at those at the end. So today's agenda, the things we really want to talk about. I think that there's been a lot of hype around this. The Mobilegeddon update from Google, and oh my gosh, this is the end of the world, right? So we want to take a little bit of a look at the real impact, especially a couple weeks after it's happened, so that we can really understand how it's impacting websites. We're also going to take a look at understanding how you can find out if your site actually is mobile friendly enough, quote unquote enough. We also want to see how it's impacted your site specifically, and I'm going to show you some tools on how you can do that. And then we're going to look at some common mistakes that people make when they're trying to go mobile, and of course talk about putting together a plan for you. And I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where everybody freaks out and there's all of this hype and you don't know the answers. We want to put you in a position where you feel like the things you're doing are building towards the future of SEO and mobile, and we're going to give you some pointers to help you there. So without further ado, the first question, is this the end? Is it really as bad as everybody's trying to make it sound? I think we need to kind of frame this whole conversation with the understanding of how search engines work. So some of you, I mean, almost anybody on the street, you say, you know how a search engine works, right? Let's think about the actual technical side of how a search engine works, though. So a lot of people don't realize that the way that these things are crawling your site, they use these little robots, sometimes called spiders or crawlers. And basically what they do is they travel the entire internet and they use links. So it's all link-based. They go from one link to another link to page to page to page. It's sort of like a subway system. I like to use the example. Think about if you are underground and you're in New York City and you're riding the subway there. And you get to this station that's Times Square. And you look at the map and you see all of the different lines are converging in Times Square. When you walk upstairs and you see all of the lights in the action, you kind of get it, right? You kind of expect it. This is going to be a big deal place because all of the lines converge here. It's the same thing with search engines. The more links you have coming in, usually the higher you're going to rank. So basically those spiders go out to your site and they read and store information about each of your pages in this giant database. And then what they do is when somebody goes in and types something in, they run that little search term against all of the information that they have and basically pull out, using this quote unquote secret algorithm, the best possible fit. So the secret algorithm, number 4 on this list, this is what SEOs basically do for a living, is try to understand what that secret algorithm might be and how we can make sure that our web pages are doing the best and hopefully coming up higher on that list. So really, there is a little bit of, we think this is true and we believe this is true, and we counter that with understanding there's an entire industry of people out there that do this for a living and study this stuff and use mathematical equations and test these things. So we actually have some really good best practices for you to use. So what actually happened? what is this Mobilegeddon thing, right? Back in April 21st, actually, Google released their new mobile-friendly algorithm. It actually warned us about it back in, I believe, January, and told us, hey guys, this is coming. So you want to make sure that your site is mobile ready. This is kind of an unusual thing. Google usually doesn't tell the SEO community that this is necessarily an update that's coming. So this is one of the first times this has happened. And as you can imagine, and as many of you have probably seen if you're on this webinar, the SEOs and the entire kind of tech industry got really excited about it. The hashtag Mobilegeddon was created. Everyone knew that this was important and really started pushing to try to figure out how we were going to prepare for this and how we were going to prepare our clients for this thing. Just the name Mobilegeddon, you can understand the way that people were taking this. People were looking at it as, oh my gosh, this is a huge change. Very big things are going to happen. The algorithm favors web pages that are deemed mobile friendly. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. It's basically make sure your site is mobile friendly and you won't have any problem. This is going to actually be a benefit to you. If you don't have mobile friendly web pages, though, that's where you're going to start to see the impact. Another thing that's interesting about this is that they're either mobile friendly or they're not. There's no scale. You can't be 20% mobile friendly. So Google has been really trying to make sure that people are following all of their rules and getting ready for this in preparation for this 4/21/15 launch. So a little bit of context and history. We know that the majority of traffic on the internet, some 60-70%, is actually going through search engines. And then of those search engines, this is the ranking from 2014 of the share basically of the different search engines. So you might be saying, yeah, Becky, this is cool, it's interesting, but it's Google. There's just one search engine and I get traffic from lots and lots of other places on my website, right? If the majority of the traffic on the internet is going through search engines and nearly 70% of that traffic is going through Google, this is a big chunk of stuff that we need to look at. This is a big piece of your traffic. So wanting to put that in context for you. The other piece of history and context that I think is really important to talk about is the fact that this is always changing. Robin, do you want to jump in and talk a little bit about the algorithm changes? Did we lose it? So basically, this is a screen grab here of Moz, which is one of those groups of people that are the nerdy, cool, smart people. They're basically testing out the algorithms. And they're throwing stuff at it all the time to try to understand, A, when did an update happen? Because we don't always know. So people are testing. And B, how do we make sure we're doing the best practices? So this here is they actually keep a Google algorithm change history that you can go out and look at. And you can see that they've updated it recently on the 22nd after the Mobilegeddon quote unquote happened. But you can see it goes back years and years and years. So Google's changing this algorithm all the time, trying to make it better for their users, for Google users to find the right things on search. Two of the most popular, not popular, but the biggest impact ones that you've probably seen recently is Penguin and Panda. And those were really big shifts in the last several years, in the last 5 years or so, where it used to be that you used to have some kind of tactics in SEO that you could come around and do a lot of keyword stuffing and some things that were a little bit more maybe not authentic. And these really made it a little bit tighter on the fact that if there's good content on a page, we're going to make sure that those people are ranking better. So just to keep in mind, this is happening all the time. Mobilegeddon is nothing new. These updates are happening on a regular basis. Like I said, this is one of the few that we actually had a heads up on. So I think that's part of the reason that so many people are really excited about it. Something that is really important to keep in mind as you're thinking about this is that the actual area of impact for this update is really focused on mobile search engine results pages, or the SERPs. So what that means is that if I'm on my cell phone and I'm searching for your college or institution, if you don't have a mobile-friendly page, it's going to be a lot less likely that you're going to show up on my cell phone, but it's not going to impact if I'm searching on a regular desktop and that desktop results show up. So it really is people who are on the go, on their phones, etc. It's focused more on those mobile search engine results pages. And I think that the last thing kind of to frame up this conversation is the idea that Google really, they're not the bad guy in this one. What they're doing is they're using their wide popularity and their kind of authority in this area to say, it's time, everybody. We need to push over and move to mobile sites, and we need to make sure our mobile sites look good. They actually have a whole website out there and a bunch of tools you'll see that I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides, dedicated to making this easier for you. So if you go out, there's a URL here at the bottom of this slide, and I've got a bunch of resources like that are linked throughout. But if you go out to this page, you'll see that there's ways you can actually check, get some SEO best practices. You can customize your web software. They're doing everything they can to make this as easy as possible on you. I promise, Google's on your side. They're not that guy. All right, so next question. Is our site actually mobile friendly enough? What do we have to do technically to actually become mobile friendly? So in the case of this instance with Google and the Googlebot, you have to make sure that Googlebot can detect the following criteria. You want to avoid Flash or software that's not common on mobile devices like Flash. So anything that doesn't load and doesn't work on your mobile device, that's going to be bad. So as you're building out your overall website, make sure that you're testing those different plugins and different tools. I know that we see some schools have trouble with like virtual tours and things like that, or other video elements that are really Flash heavy. You also want to make sure that users' text is readable without zooming. So this one's a pretty easy eyeball test. If you just pull up your site on your phone, you'll be able to tell if you can read it or not. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, you can just pinch and zoom. That's not going to pass in this case. You also want to make sure that your users, when they get to your site on your phone, they don't have to scroll horizontally, so back and forth, left to right, or zoom in to be able to see things. So it really needs to look and feel like it's made for the phone. And of course, you want people to do things when they're on their site, right? You want them to request more information or follow up via email or do something. So you want them to be able to click on links. So remember that your links need to be placed far enough apart that when in mobile, people can actually click on the link that they're trying to click on. I don't know how many times I've tried to, call somebody, order a pizza, whatever it might be, through my phone, and I had to, zoom way in so that I could get to the right information and actually click on the link. Google's going to be looking for that. Keeping in mind as well your overall touchscreen readiness. Your site should work and function and feel good on a touchscreen. One thing that I think is really important to mention here when you're talking about scope is that this isn't a site-wide thing. A lot of my clients and a lot of my friends will say to me, well, is it more important that I get my entire site up to date, or do I just need to focus on my most important pages? And this algorithm change is actually looking at it on a page-by-page basis, which is fantastic news for higher education. Because we have huge sites where there's pockets of those sites that perhaps don't have mobile readiness, but we might have, a couple of sections that we've redesigned and we know they're responsive and look great on mobile phones. So what we want to do here is make sure that we're focusing on those most important pages first. So your recruitment pages, if you're an alumni, your giving pages, your engagement pages, things like that. And really, they won't hurt your overall domain authority if you have some, library pages in the law school that are not very good for mobile. So only the mobile-friendly pages are going to benefit. Only the poor mobile-friendly pages are going to be impacted. And what's amazing here is that baby steps are okay. I know all of us like to hear that. It's all right to focus on your primary pages first. So how can you actually tell if your site is mobile? The easiest way, this is literally a screen grab of our site showing up in mobile. And you see that there's something within Google in the search engine results page, which is what you're looking at here, that says mobile friendly. That little gray wording right before our meta description. So this actually rolled out last fall. Google started putting this on things, which was a clear hint that mobile was becoming more and more important in their view. And it's intended for the user, the search user, to really understand, is this mobile or not? Because I don't want to waste my time maybe on, terrible 3G or bad connection, trying to load a page to only find out that it's not mobile friendly. So this has been going along for a while, and it actually uses the same criteria as this Mobilegeddon algorithm change. So if you're getting the mobile friendly tag, good work. Your site is working well on mobile. Hopefully you all have your cell phones with you and you can test that right now and see how many of them are looking good. Keeping in mind, though, that this is on a page by page. So your homepage might be in good shape, but perhaps your undergraduate recruitment landing page is not going to be in good shape. So make sure you're looking at each page. Google, I said earlier, again, is trying to make this easier. So they've actually created what they call their mobile friendly test. And this is linked from that earlier slide that I showed you where they're actually trying to give you some tools. This is one of them. You just plug in your URL of whatever page it is, again, page by page, and you'll get results like this. This is the results for, okay, this is not a mobile friendly site. It's giving you the errors on the left-hand side that you need to work on. And it's giving you some tips and some tools that you can work through to try to make this site better. So that's a really good tool. Also, another tool Google has given people is, anybody use Webmaster Tools? Hopefully some of you know what that is and know that you're hooked up to it. I always say in higher education, especially because of our infrastructure, sometimes the hardest thing about setting up Webmaster Tools is finding out who set it up in the first place and getting the login. Because usually it gets set up someplace in the IT world and marketers need to use it. So sometimes there's a little back and forth there. But hopefully you've been able to get into it. And Webmaster Tools actually has a report called the Mobile Usability Report. The one on the left is showing you errors. If you have a website that has errors on it and the number of pages that have those errors. And then the one on the right is what you see if you don't have any mobile usability errors. The reason I like this report as well, the one that we just showed you is page by page. This one you can do for your entire site and figure out where some of your most major problems are. So, oops, I'm sorry. The next one on our list is WooRank. This is a fantastic tool. Robin, did you jump back in?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, WooRank is really neat. So it's actually a Chrome installation. So just install it on your Chrome browser. And this is really cool because you can not only look at your own site, but you can check and see what other universities are scoring on their ranking chart as well. So this will grade you on your SEO from a technical perspective, from desktop to mobile. So it gives you an overall grade, and then you can click into everything you have errors on, and it'll actually give you advice on how to fix it.
Very cool, because I know everyone in higher ed is really interested in knowing how their competitors are doing. So that's a nice tool.
Yeah, and I like how they don't just tell you what you're doing wrong, but actually give you suggestions to fix it. That's pretty rare.
Totally. So you can see there's a lot of great tools out there that you can use to find out if you're doing okay in the first place and how you can improve. So let's talk a little bit about the overall impact of this. So how much did it actually impact the industry? This slide has a really great graphic on it. This is by Peter Myers, who is a marketing scientist with Moz, the company I mentioned earlier, that is fantastic as far as figuring out how search engines work. And of course, everybody wanted to know, okay, it's the day after Mobilegeddon. How is this working? How is it really impacting things? So you can see everything in purple on this are the days past the Mobilegeddon algorithm implementation. And then everything before is in the blue. So you can see this is the percentage of mobile-friendly sites that are showing up in page 1 of search engine results on mobile sites, or on mobile phones rather. So you can see very clearly that on 4/22, the day after the algorithm shift, we moved up a couple of percentage points consistently, and it's continuing to grow slowly as far as more and more higher percentage of the page or of the web pages that show up on that first page are mobile friendly. So we can see that there's definitely been an impact. I think that the other thing that's really interesting about this data and what Peter talks about in this blog post, which is linked here, is that we also know Google did a tremendous job of getting everybody excited about this and going in and thinking, hey, I've got to make sure that I get my site mobile. So part of this might also be that we're seeing that people are actually updating their sites and making them more mobile friendly. So of course, a higher percentage of our search results is going to be mobile friendly. So there's two different ways to look at that, but there's definitely a number increase that we can see that happened right at that day with the algorithm change. Overall, though, most of the experts in the industry are saying that this is not quite as huge and as earth-shaking, and the impact is not as deep as everyone thought it might be. Timeline for this, it's already 100% rolled out, but it did take about a week to roll out. Google has said it'll take weeks or even months for all the sites to be re-indexed, although some people have seen that it's going much faster than some of the other algorithms. So we want to make sure that things are getting seen very quickly. And most of the experts are saying that we've probably seen most of the change, but they're continuing to track it. So in search engine world, this is still really, really fresh. We're only a couple weeks into it. This is more just kind of a FYI, because I know everybody likes to see these sorts of things, but this is another slide grab from Peter's post. And these are basically the websites out there that they predict are going to be the winners and losers after this thing. Anybody who's in bold has less than 75% of their pages that are mobile friendly, and we expect that they might take a hit. So we see some biggies in there like Amazon and YouTube, Target, IRS, which actually has 0%. I don't know if anybody's too sad or cheering for the IRS to get their stuff mobile ready. Also really relevant, though, to this conversation is this actually came out about a week ago. Google has actually said that there are now more searches on mobile than there are on desktop. So I think that that's really relevant to keep in mind. I think we sometimes hear that in higher education, we don't have as much mobile usage as some other industries. It's actually, it's across every industry. This is a huge trend. It's real, and I think it's important to take note of the fact that more people are actually searching on mobile than they are on desktop. And specifically to higher ed, this is data pulled out of Noah Levitt's e-expectations report. When interviewing prospective students, nearly 70% of them say that they're using search engines when they're researching colleges. So we know, yes, even in higher education, this is really important, and it does matter. So here's a really quick tip to go out and check your own site and see if things have changed. So this is a segment that I've set up, and of course you can grab this and use it to basically say we only want to look at traffic in Google Analytics that is Google organic coming from a mobile device, which is exactly the type of traffic that we're interested to see if there's an increase or decrease in. This is a school that I work with that will remain nameless that is not mobile friendly. And you can see in the past several weeks that they have actually seen a decrease in their Google organic mobile traffic, with the caveat that that last really deep dip of the bullet point here will actually come up because I pulled it midweek. But you can see that there's already a trend starting downward. I'm really interested to continue to follow this with them and see how big of an impact this is having. All right, let's look at some common mistakes. So Google, again, is trying really hard to make this easier on you guys. So they've made a list of mistakes that people commonly make that are a little bit more technical when they're moving their sites to mobile. So make sure you're not doing this. For full details, or if you want to send it to your IT group, there's actually a URL at the bottom of this slide. But basically, you want to make sure that things like JavaScript, your CSS, any image files, they aren't being blocked on mobile. You want to make sure that anything, any media you have is not license constrained or that requires Flash or something like that so that it'll work on mobile as well. A lot of people use redirects with mobile sites, whether they're doing it from an MDOT or some other mobile subdomain. So make sure that those are actually redirecting to the right page that corresponds with it in the mobile world. You don't want to have any 404s that are specific to just mobile sites. That also is a way that some people have dealt with moving to mobile is, oh, well, we just will 404 it because our virtual tour doesn't work on mobile. You don't want to do that. You want to send them to something that works. You don't want to have any, a lot of people work with like native apps like YouTube and things like that. So if you're sending people through an app download through YouTube to another app altogether to run, you want to make sure that works on mobile. Occasionally those things get screwed up when you switch over to mobile as well. We also, let's say you have a navigation and you have your mobile site all working and everything is wonderful within your navigation. You want to make sure that all of your cross-linking through that nav all goes to additional mobile sites and mobile-ready pages. When people go back and forth between a mobile experience and a desktop experience on a mobile phone, it's really jarring. That's probably a no-brainer, right? And of course, you don't want them to be slow, right? You want your pages to load at a reasonable pace. Go ahead and test that and test it on different types of internet connections. Google also has a tool called Google PageSpeed Insights that'll help you figure out where those issues are. So all of that, details on all of that is linked with that bottom URL. To put everything in context as we're kind of working through this is I also want you guys to understand what didn't happen on 4/21/2005. There are a couple of things that I think there's a little bit of alarmism going on around, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that if somebody on their phone goes and searches for your specific college brand name, even if it's not mobile friendly, you're still probably going to show up for that. Google is not delisting anybody who's not mobile friendly. They're just giving, the algorithm is just giving more preference to mobile friendly sites. So if people are searching for your brand, you're still going to show up. So don't go out on your phone right now, search for the brand of your college, and then say, well, Becky, look, I showed up. It doesn't matter, right? What we're really interested in, though, is somebody looking for a flexible MBA program or one of those other words where you can tell they're still shopping. That's where you're going to see the impact. Like I said, Google's not going to delist you. And this really does just affect organic traffic, not AdWords. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the future in our last couple of minutes. Any Bear Grylls fans out there? I don't mind that he sleeps in hotels sometimes. I think it's fine. Also, he has a great advice that, you don't want to just rely on luck. You always want to have a backup plan. So that's what we want to leave you with. Always think about building your SEO and your website really focused on your users first. So some of you may have heard my example before between a movie about a tiger on a boat. So imagine I'm out there sitting at dinner with my friends, and I'm trying to figure out what's the name of that movie with the tiger on the boat. So I search in my Google, and of course, the first thing that's going to come up is Life of Pi. Well, this is proof right here that Google is so smart understanding my user search intent, and that they've been working towards this for the past 15 years to understand what the user wants. And they're going to provide me with the best possible solution as the user. So your job as far as making your site search engine friendly is to make sure that you're also thinking about that user too. There's no secret there. Anytime that you can focus on what your user is looking for and how to make it easy on the user, search engines are going to reward that. The other thing that I think is really important is think mobile first. So this is a chart, actually this just came out last week. This is really new information that's basically saying that the single platform users, desktop only versus mobile only, mobile this year in the last couple of weeks finally overtook desktop. There are more people in the United States using mobile only devices than there are desktop only devices. And I wanted to show you this full graph because the trend line is what's really important. The fact that mobile is continuing to rise and desktop is continuing to fall. Mobile is where you're really going to hit people, and you see from this algorithm change and from all of the work that Google's put in that Google understands this and they're prioritizing mobile. So make sure that you're going user first and mobile first in any strategy that you're putting together for your content on your website. I'm going to let Robin jump in and talk a little bit about some of the goals that we recommend for you.
Yeah, thanks. So we're doing mobile website assessments here at Converge. And so we're looking at your website and kind of determining what can you do in the short term versus the long term. A lot of universities are on the long wait list to have new website development implemented. So in the meantime, make sure to prioritize the pages that get the most traffic. So if you can create mobile versions of your homepage or the pages that get the most traffic, that would be best. But if you can't, there's definitely ways to work around it. So like you saw, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to lose all of your traffic right away, but it is going to go down over time. So to supplement that, try to use some pay-per-click advertising, advertise on LinkedIn, really get into your social media, try to drive more traffic with links to specific URLs. And then also consider CLS tools. So we're a HubSpot partner, and HubSpot provides their clients with content optimization systems. So you can really easily create landing pages, pages on your website that are mobile friendly, that don't require website development. So something like that would be a great short-term solution. And then long-term solution, don't rush your redesign just because you want a mobile site. Make sure that you're really understanding the information architecture and really putting time into the content. And then, make sure that you're working with a development team that understands mobile optimization. A lot of times when you're creating a mobile site, you'll have to condense your content. So make sure you know what's important for your users and create your site based on data and analytics rather than just a time crunch.
I don't know how many people I've talked to that have that exact problem you mentioned, Robin, where we wanna roll out mobile, but it's not within the scope of the IT department, and we're on the waiting list. So I think it's really helpful, the short and the long term.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot this week. So
yeah, absolutely. So we're right at the end of our time here. We will hang out for a couple of minutes for questions. But we want to leave you with this. We want you to think about the fact that it kind of seems like a threat, and all of these different SEO algorithm changes seem like a nice challenge for us, right? But really, it's an opportunity, and I think it's an opportunity especially in higher education, because higher education isn't known for being exclusively mobile friendly, right? It's not like the e-commerce industry or some of the other industries that were born and bred and live in mobile. So because of that, for those of us that are mobile and are willing to do the work to be mobile friendly, it really is an opportunity, because SEO, after all, is a competition. It's all about making sure that you're the best answer to the question. So take this as an opportunity to be the butterfly. what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. So take advantage of that. Robin mentioned we are doing these free mobile assessments. The link right here is at the bottom here that you can go sign up for them on our website. And Robin or I would work with you to figure out what's going on with your specific site. Anything to add on that, Robin?
Yeah, just, if you guys are logging into the Google Mobile Friendly tool and you are passing the test, just remember that's from a search engine perspective. And there's a lot that we can do from the user perspective to help you further enhance your mobile experience for users, not just search engine. So, sign up. We'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. And then, of course, we have an upcoming webinar, I think in a couple of weeks. This one's coming right up, Digital Storytelling for Competitive Advantage. This is a full hour webinar. So please join us for that. Megan and Amanda have some great information for you. And anybody who joined us last year for Converged 2014, it's back. Converged 2015 is this October. We're really excited about it. Is this October in New Orleans, of all places. A really, really fun city, lots of culture, lots of great food, lots of excitement. And we have a wonderful cast of people speaking. We have wonderful folks from higher education. And then we also have people coming in from HubSpot, a Google Analytics advocate, Moz, which I mentioned several times on this already. Margot, who is a great content strategist, and Rob from Distill. So be sure that you go check that out on our site, and we will hang out for a couple of minutes and take some questions. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Let me see what we have as far as questions. Hold on 1 second. All right, we got a good question here. Our site uses an MDOT site with only a few pages that are mobile friendly, where the first time a user goes to the page on our site in a fresh or new mobile browser, they get redirected to the MDOT homepage. Google is seeing this as all of our pages being mobile friendly, so right now it's working in our favor. Do you see any negative effects of this in terms of search? So basically it sounds like all of your pages being redirected to that MDOT homepage? Is that what it, let's see if she can write back.
That's what it sounds like.
Yes, okay, yes. She says yes. So, Kimberly, it's probably not, initially it's probably okay. I would probably point back to that, the irrelevant, or maybe it's the faulty redirects list on what Google's saying as far as you want to make sure that they're kind of one-to-one. If Google's seeing it right now and you're passing, that's probably an okay thing. We've actually seen a couple of cases where they've been rolling out different pieces of this algorithm. Like right now, some of the site's speed is actually being derived from desktop even for mobile right now in the actual algorithm rankings. We know that's going to change though, and we know that as they're rolling out new things, it's going to get better. So I think technically you're okay for now, but I would say that that's probably not a best practice going forward, and pulling that directly from the recommendations back on that slide with the things that Google says don't do. Does that make sense? Robin, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I would just kind of add on that Google is like the government of the website, so nothing really gets by them. So I always kind of say, like, pay your taxes because they'll find out. So just, if you're getting by for now, that's great, but make sure that you're taking the next steps to really follow the rules that they're putting out there.
I like that. No tax evasion.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Good, great question, Kim. Thank you for sending that. Any other questions? I know that we've run over time, so thank you guys for sticking with us. All right. Well, I don't see any more coming in, so I'm going to wrap us up. But thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you think of something or if you have any additional questions, Rob and I are available through email. Just Robin@convergedconsulting.org and Becky@convergedconsulting.org. So we are available. And yes, Chris, we will absolutely send the analytics breakdown. I'll send out the full slides and a recording of this for everybody. All right? Cool. Thanks everyone.
Have a great rest of your day.